بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله وكفى وسلام على عباده الذين اصطفى أما بعد. So welcome back to our Learning the Arabic of the Quran class. This is part 9, and in this class I would like to introduce you to the science of Nahw, ilmun Nahw. Um, this science has to do with a slightly different branch of learning Arabic, and you'll understand that as we move forward. So what we're going to learn in this class is an introduction to the science of Nahw, the definition. We'll cover the definition and the benefits of this science and why we learn the science. And then we're going to talk about speech and then parts of speech. What are the different parts of speech and what are their definitions, and then how do we identify them? How do we identify the parts of speech? So just like any language, you need to know what you're saying in order to put together a sentence. So you have various words, separate words, and each word has a different meaning. How do you put them together to form a correct sentence, a sentence that makes sense? So, science of Nahw. The science of Nahw is the knowledge through which a person will be able to refrain from committing mistakes in sentence structure. Knowing the i'rab to help determine the grammatical position of the word in the sentence. So, i'rab is something which you're going to learn about in this science, and this will also help you to translate correctly. The whole purpose of learning this is so that we can understand the Quran. And in order to understand it, you have to be able to translate it correctly. And so Nahw will help you understand the position of each and every single word in the sentence, thus helping you to translate correctly. One of the things about Arabic is that you can position words in different places in the sentence, and it can give you the same meaning or a different meaning, right? So, for example, where Allah says, "Anna Allah bari'um min al-mushrikeen wa rasuluh," this actually led to the formation of facilitating the learning of the Arabic language. So, "Anna Allah bari'um min al-mushrikeen wa rasuluh." I know it's a bit difficult for you to translate it right now at this stage, but basically it means that Allah and His Messenger are free from the polytheists, meaning they have nothing to do with the polytheists. Anna Allah bari'um min al-mushrikeen wa rasuluh. That's how it's written in the Quran. Now, grammatically, it should be Anna Allah wa rasulahu bari'ani min al-mushrikeen. Right? That Allah and His Messenger, both of them, are free, or they don't have anything to do with the polytheists. However, Rasul, which of course refers to the Prophet ﷺ, has been brought at the end of the sentence. Allah is at the beginning of the sentence, and Rasul should have been brought right after it, but it's mentioned at the end, right? And then min al-mushrikeen is in the middle. So that's, for you folks, is the Arabic language. Now, it's up to you to translate it correctly, looking at the i'rab, the ending of the words. Okay, so person was found reciting Anna Allah bari'un min al-mushrikeen wa rasulih. Okay, al-iyadu billah, may Allah forbid. So, which would mean that Allah is free from, or Allah has nothing to do with the polytheists and his messenger. Wow. So, just see how the difference in mispronouncing one word, the i'rab of one word. Yeah, you change the rasulu into rasuli. Just change the dhamma on the lam to a kasra, and it completely changes the whole meaning. Right? And so there's a scholar who was sitting nearby. The story is long, longer than what I just mentioned. And he said, "Oh no, this is not acceptable. This is not. It's an innocent mistake, but it's changing the whole meaning. It's changing the meaning altogether. And that is not what Allah has intended." And so that is when this whole system of grammar was invented. Okay, this led to facilitating the i'rab, introducing the dhamma, kasra, fatha into the Quran, because before that there was no diacritical marks. There were no diacritical marks for the dhamma, fatha, kasra. People used to recite, believe it or not, without the dhamma, fatha, kasra marks. And even before that, there were no dots on the letters. There were no dots on the letters, and there were no diacritical marks for the dhamma, fatha, and kasra. People were so skillful in the Arabic language that they were able to read it without any problems, as a matter of fact. And then when the non-Arabs started accepting Islam and the need arose for the non-Arabs to also learn Arabic, then they said, okay, we need to do something to facilitate learning of the Arabic language for the non-Arabs, and that's where they came up with the science of Nahw, the science of Sarf, and the science of the diacritical marks in the Holy Quran. Anyways, there are a lot more stories. There's a lot more to the story than I just mentioned. Inshallah, one day I'll mention it in a separate class, maybe. Okay, I have a bit of a cough. Okay, so the first thing we learn about is speech. Speech, meaning articulation. Love, okay, it's used in various languages. In Arabic, love means any type of articulation, anything that comes out of the mouth. So love literally means to throw. ما يلفظ من قول إلا لديه رقيب عتيد. Thus, anything thrown from the mouth, or in other words, articulation, whether meaningful or not, is called lafz in the terminology of Arabic grammarians. Okay, so anything that comes out of the mouth literally is lafz. So whether it's meaningful or not, so me coughing, for example, right now I just coughed. Okay, that is also love because it came out of my mouth. It's a sound that came out of my mouth. But does it have any meaning? when I go like when I do that, or when I actually cough, does it have any meaning? No, it doesn't. Right? However, it is love because it came out of my. This leads us to the two types of articulation. Okay, it's either going to be meaningful or meaningless, like the sound I make when I cough, or when I want to clear my throat, the sound that I make. Okay, that's meaningless. That's muhmal in Arabic. That is known as muhmal. Right? Mawdu' is the meaningful type of articulation, and mawdu' is what will be discussed in from now on, from this point onwards. Um, it's mawdu' that will be discussed and researched and learned about, basically. So here we go. We have the chart in front of us. You have love, anything that comes out of the mouth, and it can be muhmal, like the coughing sound that I just made, or me clearing my throat, or it can be mawdu', meaning meaningful. Okay, meaning that it has a meaning to it. Now, what are the different types of meaningful articulation? Mawdu'. We're going to discuss the different types of mawdu'. So that there are two types of meaningful articulation. It'll either be single, meaning one word, okay, or murakkab. Murakkab means compound, multiple words put together. Okay, so an articulation that is composed of one word only, single word, that's mufrad, and murakkab is when you have multiple words coming together to form a phrase or a complete sentence, a full sentence or an incomplete sentence. We'll look at each separately. Again, the chart. This will make it easier for us. Mawdu'. You have meaningful articulation. It can either be mufrad or murakkab. Okay. Mufrad is, of course, single, and murakkab is. Uh, these are different types of mufrad. We're going to look at mufrad first. Mufrad articulation, or single, a single word that comes out of our mouth. If an articulation is composed of one word, it is called mufrad. Simple as that. It's straightforward stuff here. It's as we move forward, it'll get more and more complicated, but nothing to worry about. All right, so if it's just one word, it's called mufrad, or it's also kalima. Kalima is the word that is more often used. So, for example, Allah, right? Muhammad, Rasul, Kitab. So these are all separate words, articulated separately on their own. Okay, so somebody asks you, who is your creator? You say Allah. Who is your messenger? You say Muhammad, right? Rasul. So these are um, all examples of single or singular words. Um, so ism, plural of ism is asma, which means nouns. So just like in English, you have nouns, right? In Arabic, it's the same, no different. And then number two, you have fi'al. Fi'al is the singular, plural is af'al. Yes, one of the things you learn in Nahw is how do you change a word from a singular to plural. Okay. And then number three is the harf, which is can be translated as a particle or as a preposition, depending on what type of harf it is. In English, a particle is separate than a preposition. In Arabic, it's one in the same. It's basically a harf. And then later on, uh, they branch out into categories. So you have particles and then you have prepositions. Um, whereas in English, particle is separate, preposition is separate from the beginning. So these are the three main parts of speech. In English, you have the 8 parts of speech. In Arabic is 3, and then the other 5 will. I'm sorry. The other 5 will fall under ism. Okay, so ism will further branch out into different types of categories, and then fa'al will branch out into different types of categories. Fa'al you've already covered, the past tense, and then you'll be covering the present tense and future tense in the near future. Okay, and then you have harf, which will branch out into different categories as well. So we'll separately. This is a chart just to make it a bit easier for you. You have the kalima, which is a singular word, a single word, and mufrad is another name for it. And that branches out into three main types of parts of speech. You have ism, then you have fi'al, and then you have harf. Moving forward, what is the definition of each one? Okay, so for ism, an ism or a noun is a word that is the name of a person, place, or thing without any tense. Yes, quite simple, just like in English. Okay, there's no tense to it. There's no past tense or present tense or future tense. Okay. For example, you have al-ghaib, الذين يؤمنون بالغيب, al-ghaib. Okay, that's an example of a noun. Or rajulun, a man, waladun, a boy. Okay, the Arabic definition for nouns is broader than the English one in that it also includes three others from the 8 English parts of speech, namely pronouns, adjectives, and adverbs. So in English, you have 8 parts of speech, and then you list each one. A pronoun is one of them, adjectives is one of them, adverbs is one of them. Whereas in Arabic, pronouns, adjectives, and adverbs, they all fall under ism, under nouns. So these 3 are just different types of noun, different types of ism. So it's just a difference of opinion basically on, or difference in the convention of how you want to go about with teaching the subject, how you want to classify it. Okay, how do we identify an ism? That's one of the basic aspects of every language, and that's how you begin to learn how to translate any language. Okay, so there are some distinctive signs to identify an ism. They are known as alamatul ism. Alamat means signs. Okay, signs that indicate something. Okay, alamat is also used in Urdu. Alamat, you say alamati. All right, alamat, signs of a noun. Okay, so number 1, you have tanween at the end. So whenever you see a tanween, right away you can say that this word is a noun right away. Like there's no second guessing, nothing to even think, well, it might be a verb. No, it can't be a verb. If it has a tanween at the end, it's never ever going to be a verb. It's a noun for sure. Okay? Al, same thing with al. If there's al at the beginning, the definite article al at the beginning, like in alhamdu, ad-din, as-sirat, then you know for sure 100% that this word is a noun. It cannot be a verb at all. It cannot be a particle or a preposition as well. Okay, so there's no second guessing. If there's al at the beginning, right away this is a noun. And I'm sorry I went forward without finishing the slide. So another sign which came on the previous slide, I cannot go back to it now because I'm recording, is that there's a preposition before it, and the preposition is the preposition of the genitive case. Okay, so this is something you'll learn later. They're known as huruful jar. So when we move forward, you'll learn more about that. So examples of huruful jar, or examples of prepositions of the genitive case, are, for example, ala. Ala means on top. Okay, ila means to. Min means from. Okay, and bi, for example, bi is a preposition, a single letter, bi, with a kasra underneath it. Bi means with, or like we say bismillah. So bi ismillah, in the name of Allah, or with the name of Allah, meaning I am reciting with the name of Allah, or taking the blessings of the name of Allah. So that's what bi means. Then you have li. Li means for. Alhamdulillahi, lillahi, for Allah. So the lam with a kasra underneath it, li, that in itself is a preposition and it has a meaning. It gives a meaning, which means li, meaning belongs to, or it can also mean to. Okay? Or li can also mean for. Okay? Lillah, for Allah. Okay, and then da marbuta, moving on to this slide. Da marbuta, this little da over here, rounded da, marbuta. Rabata means to tie something when you tie. And marbuta is as if you tied it up at the top, right? And there's a little knot at the top there, if you look carefully. Okay, so that's why it's called da marbuta. It's the rounded da. If you see that at the end of a word, then you can say for sure, certainly this is a noun. This word is a noun because da marbuta will not come at the end of a verb. Okay, if it is a subject, a mubtada in a sentence, okay, so if it's at the beginning of a sentence and it's the mubtada in the sentence, then that means it's a noun. And we'll learn more about that as we move forward. You don't have to stress over it right now that what is this? We don't know what this is. So as we move forward, you'll learn more about it. So don't worry about it right now. Munada, if it is a munada, if it's in the vocative, then it's a noun. It's going to be a noun for sure. It cannot be a verb. Ya waladu, for example, oh boy. Okay, ya Allah, oh Allah. So whoever you call upon when you're calling someone, you use the particle ya before it. Okay, oh, ya means oh. So it's like oh Canada, right? You're calling Canada, right? Ya Canada. In Arabic, that would be translated as Ya Canada, right? So Canada would be the vocative or the munada, okay? So if something is a munada, then that has to be a noun. It cannot be a verb. Okay, if it's in the dual form or the plural form, if you have two of something, then it's going to be a noun. If you have three of something, then it's going to be a noun for sure, okay? If it's possessed in a possessive compound, you learn more about that later, like in Kitabu Zaydin, which means the book of Zayd or Zayd's book. So over here, okay, it's Kitab is a noun. Zayd is also a noun. Okay, so when it's mudaf, okay, and again, I don't want to, I'm a bit hesitant in even mentioning the terminology because I don't want you guys to be overwhelmed at this point right now with the terminology. So like kitab is what you would define as mudaf. Zayd is mudaf ilayh. So mudaf, if it's mudaf, then that's going to be a noun for sure. Okay, so if it's the possessed in a possessive compound, like over here, Zayd's book. So book is for sure going to be a noun. Similarly, if the word is in the jar case, now what is the jar case? This is something you'll learn later on, and I don't want to, again, overwhelm you or confuse you with the terminology. Basically, having a kasra at the end, being in the genitive case is the defining or determining point in this, in determining that it's a noun. Okay, so verbs can at sometimes have a kasra at the end, so that this is not 100% determining point, and that's because when you get into the advanced levels, then this will make more sense to you. And if I start mentioning to you, explaining to you the details, you'll just get confused at this point. And so that's why I don't want to go into any more details right now. Okay, we have a verb. That's the second part of speech. A verb, what is a verb? A fi'al or verb is a word that shows an act with a tense. Okay, past, present, or future. For example, fa'ala, we already know this by now. We should know this by now because we've covered it. Nasara, he helped. Walada, he begot. Okay. Um, how do we distinguish a verb from a noun or particle? So these are some of the signs. قد, if قد comes before it, قد is a particle of emphasis. So if you see the particle قد before it or لقد before it, then you know for sure that the following word is going to be a verb. You have the ta, sakina, mabsuta. These are some new terminology here. Mabsuta literally means elongated. Okay, so the elongated ta. So there are two types of ta. One is the ta that looks like this, right? That's ta marbuta. We covered that earlier. The tied up ta, or the circular ta, or rounded ta, whatever is easier for you. And then you have this type of ta, which is the elongated ta. So mabsuta means elongated. Sakina, you already know what that means. So if the ta has a sukoon on it and is elongated, then you know for sure that this is a verb. And as we know, like in fa'alat, right, that it shows the feminism of the subject, the doer. Okay, if there's a sa before it, okay, or sofa before it, then that means it's a verb for sure. Okay, so sa is for the future tense. It takes the verb into the future tense, and sofa takes the verb into the far future. So sa is for the near future, sofa is for the far future. Like sayalamun and sofa ta'lamun, it comes in the Quran. Okay, being in the jazm case, which is known as the Jusif case, don't worry about it right now. You'll learn more about this in the future. So if you don't know what the jazm case is, don't worry about it. At this point, you are not expected to know what it is. When we get to it, then you'll understand it better. Amr, if it's a command, so if it's a word that's giving a command, do this, then you know that this is a verb. Similarly, if it's prohibitive, if it's saying do not do this, you better not do this. So that's nahi. That is also a sign that the word is a verb. And ad-damirul marfu al-muttasil. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about that. Damir literally means a pronoun. Okay, marfu means in the rafa case. Muttasil means attached. Okay, so this type of pronoun is normally attached to a noun. No, sorry, it's attached to a verb. So if it's attached to a verb, um, then if there's a damir in the rafa case that's attached to a word, then you know that that word is going to be a verb for sure. Okay? But again, don't worry about the terminology right now at this point because you're only at the beginner's level. So once you move forward, then you'll understand what a damir al-marfu al-muttasil what is about. Okay? Okay, moving on to harf, the particle. What is the definition of a particle? Particle is the word that cannot convey its meaning, full meaning. So I should add its full meaning, okay, unless joined with another word. Okay, for example, li. Li is a particle, which means for or belongs to, but it's not going to convey its full meaning until you add something to it. So in this case, you're going to have to add a noun, right? Min means from, ila means to, bi means with or in, fi means in, ala means on, wa means and, fa means then or so, thumma means then. Okay, so these are different examples. We'll learn more about it as we move forward. How do you identify a harf, a particle, or a preposition? If there are no distinctive signs of nouns or verbs, then it is a particle or a preposition. Okay? So basically, none of the signs of a noun that we just went over earlier are present, or none of the signs of a verb are present that we went over earlier, then you'll know that this is a particle or preposition. Particle prepositions will consist of one, two, but no more than three letters. Okay? All right, so here's a chart for the parts of speech. And of course, I want you to practice as well. Practice. How are you going to practice? What I want you to do is open the Quran to any place in the Quran and identify 10 examples of nouns in the Quran, and then write down 10 examples of verbs from the Quran, and write down 10 examples of particles in the Quran. Okay? So anywhere in the Quran, it doesn't have to be one page, anywhere. Just write down 10 examples of each nouns, verbs, and particles. Inshallah, this will help you identify different parts of speech.